Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jani. This is a cross-stitch channel where I talk about cross-stitch and materials and fabrics and projects and topics related to cross-stitch. If this is the first time that you are watching the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy the content. I usually upload a video each week. I am a Mexican stitcher, so my English is not as good as I wish, but I hope you enjoy your visit here. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much. I hope you have a great time. Today I record this video in Spanish, and I'm making this voiceover because I record the process where I add crystals to this Mirabilia. She's feather fairy, and I'm almost done with the stitching part. I still need to finish a couple of the feathers of the skirt. So yeah, I'm really anxious to finish her, and in order to start a nightingale, but we will talk about that later. So because I want to keep myself motivated, I decided, instead of finish the stitchy part, I decided to play a little bit with some crystals and beads to add to my fairy. These are not included in the original design, but I really like to personalize my project and all my projects. So in this case, I change the color of her skin and the color of her hair, and I added metallic threads to all the wings. So yeah, I like to have that option of making my projects my own. Putting different things to try to personalize them. So in this case, I decided to add a few crystals, not just the beads that are called in the design. For my beading, I use this nylon thread, which is really thin. It's very invisible and it's a little tricky to work with because it's really thin and it's really invisible. So but you can add your beads or your crystals with cotton floss, the DMC. Some stitchers use DMC in the color of the beads. So yeah, you can, it's not necessary to use a nylon thread. So you can, choose different materials. I usually add my beads with beading needle. I have a few John James and peacemakers, but you can use, the common beading needle that you can find in the fabric store or in the craft store, and they are cheaper. I prefer the number 10 beading needle because they are shorter. So yeah, it's again a matter of preference, but you can use different materials. here in Mexico, we try to adapt the materials that we have access to, and that's why I guess we like to find a substitution for different flosses or fabric or in this case crystals, because these crystals that I use are not mill heels or delicas. These are materials that I got in the craft store, so yeah, a cheaper one. And here I am showing these wonderful metallic threads, rainbow gallery petite treasure, and these are an excellent substitution for Kreinik. They are not cheap, but they are really, really nice. And I'm showing also these water lilies, these silks, along with the petite treasure. These flosses were a gift from a dear friend, so I'm really, really happy and really, honored to have all these friends who send me these wonderful materials. So yeah, I will be using most of these materials in my next project, Nightingale. I have all the flosses and the metallics and the original beads. I was considering using alternative beads, the one that I got locally. So, but again, I received the the embellishment original pack. So I am showing here some of the materials that I choose against the original ones. So they are slightly different in color, but you can, sometimes we want to stitch or to work in a specific project and we don't have access to those materials. And in this case, I already have, local beads, and they are very, very similar to the original ones. So I lucky enough and to have these materials that are called in the pattern. But you can see here, for example, those two blue beads are almost identical, and one is the one that I got here in my city, and the other one is the mill heel. So yeah, you can, have different options according to what you have access to, or for economy. And yeah, so this was my conversion. So right now, I don't know, perhaps I will use my own materials, or I will use the mill heels, but I don't know, it's always nice to have that chance of choosing between different options. And I sometimes I am looking other floss tubers, and they have prepared the materials for their kids or their projects, and it's really important for them to get the materials that are called in the pattern. But for me, I guess I'm used to to make substitutions, and it's not really a big deal. Sometimes I am watching different floss tubes, and they are saying, I'm waiting for one floss or one bead, and until I got the one that is called in the pattern, I cannot start my project. And that it's, I don't know, weird for me because I guess I'm really desperate, and I can start with alternative materials, but it's a personal preference. I'm showing here the one in the left is the one that it's called in the pattern, and the other one is the one that I'm going to use, which is a different one. So yeah, at the end, I guess my projects have different feeling or different aspect because I change so many little things, but I really enjoy that. And here again, I have the original cranic, but I will probably use a petite treasure because it's easy for me to stitch with them, but they look very similar. And I also got the cranic that it's like glow in the dark, and I was thinking in using a DMC that had that characteristic. But yeah, probably I will use the cranic, and it's really cool because it glows. So yeah, it's um funky detail in the design. But yeah, I really want to start my nightingale, so perhaps next week. I'll see. I will see. So yeah, I had these materials, these flosses and beads, and now I will start adding crystals to my project. In the chart, in the bottom part of her hair, there goes little petals, stitched. But I decided to just add the crystals, and because I'm using the invisible nylon thread, I usually anchor that thread under a few stitches, and because it's really thin and really invisible, I can anchor the tail of the thread under a few stitches, and start to bead or to add my beads and crystals. And I really enjoy adding crystals or adding beads without following a pattern. In this case, I just choosing crystal like little flowers with the hole in the middle, the one that you need to attach with another little bead on the top. So yeah, I really like to uh, put the beads or the crystals as I wish, you know, as my desire. So yeah, I just take a little crystal and start adding, and just having fun in the process. I decided to use orange crystals and light pink, and also crystal clear. So I'm adding the crystals. um, I decided to use these flower shaped crystals, and also bicons and beads. I'm using just one color of the beads. It's like pinkish orange, a really nice bead. So yeah, I just mixing um, colors and shapes and adding as I see to in the design if they look nice. So I added these crystals in the front part of the dress, and in the bottom part of the the top of the fairy, and also in the wings, in the like the edges of the wings. I saw this in Instagram, that they I can't remember the name of this teacher, but she added these beads in the edge of the wings, and I thought they look really nice, so I decided to try that here. So yeah, I start to working and beading my fairy. So this is the final result of the crystal adding on the top of her head, in her bodies, and in the wings, at the edge of the wings. So yeah, I really enjoy working, adding beads and crystals, and I think they add a really beautiful touch to your projects. You can work with specialty stitches, with beads, and it's not necessary that it's chart that way. You can play with your projects and personalize them, and yeah, it's always a good thing to have that freedom and to exercise your creativity. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this little video. I hope you have a great stitchy week. Take care of yourself, take care of your family. Don't forget to subscribe and to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.